just check. But I heard people wanted a meeting, so I booked the call, and I'm here as sort of an independent really. I'm not going on into either side. Now there are people in here, I assume, because I've had quite a lot of notice from people that most of the people that I've talked to are totally against the CPZ. There are people who want it, all right? Okay, and we need to respect everybody's views. And as far as I'm concerned, I put this place out, and if views aren't respected, and if there is anger in this room, I think we'll just stop the meeting, because that is not helpful to anybody. And actually, there are a lot of views, and you have to respect everybody's view in this community. And that's one thing that makes our community work. So, I only printed out, we didn't expect half this number. There are some agendas running around, but I'll give you the agenda. So now, there's a big announcement before that the Sustainable Streets team, who are the officers involved in all of this, were invited to come. I invited them, I sent them an email on the 17th of December. It was a bit late, but that's because their consultation was late and because I had to book the place. So I sent them that, and that gave them 4 days before the Christmas week to actually respond, deal with it, and come back to me. I then sent them another email on Sunday to make sure it was on their desks on Monday morning. And I also know that the councillors, one of the councillors here, actually went back to them and emailed them themselves. So I'm assuming, now they've said that they knew about it this week. Well, they should have done, because they should have, but that's the first they knew about it. Well, he didn't, because I've got the email that I sent to them, which is slightly disrespectful. And if they had emailed me on the Monday, I think I would have put it out there and cancelled this meeting and put it at a different date. But that's not the case. That makes this a very different meeting. Now, the councillors, I know, can probably answer some of these questions, but probably not all. And I will hear from them later. They're on the agenda. So the agenda was and is, so it's an introduction to the councillors and Sustainable Street team, who unfortunately aren't here. The 8 questions, and there are 8 questions that are on the door there and were on the bottom of this agenda, that we just asked for 8 questions to get them started, to give them something that they could answer without feeling they were being hijacked with unknown questions. So we sent that into them, and nothing came back to me. No apologies, no, nothing to say they've actually got them. So we wanted to ask them about the 8 questions. Maybe the councillors can answer some of these or talk to them. Since then, I've had, so Tamsin wants to talk about the petition and how that came about and writing that petition. So we've got one person there. We've got Mark, who's got some letters that he wanted to sign, but they might want to change now, because the Sustainable Streets team aren't here. And then we've got Karina, who's got another petition down here to go out that is north of North Heath Estate. So those people talk, and so other people might have things they want to talk about. So we'll hear from the councillors first, and we'll see about the 8 questions that we asked the Sustainable Streets team, and see what they knew about that, and ask them for their sort of where they stand on this, on the whole thing. Then I'll open it up. Now I know one person in here who is probably brave enough to say that she agrees with the CPZ, and possibly others do. And so I certainly want her to talk, because people need to know from the other side. Whatever they think, you need to know what the other side of the arguments are. And then we can open it up. I know there's quite a few people who've actually come to me directly and said, I've got a question to ask. So I'll see how that is. One of the people who asked the questions, who asked one of those questions, is here, and that's the disability question about blue badges. So she can come in on that, actually, as we ask those first questions. But first I'd like to hear from Paul and Luke. So I don't know who's going to pay first and how you're going to deal with it. But if you can answer some of these questions or can talk to these questions in any way, that might be a helpful start. Okay? Thanks very much for everybody coming. I think, there were supposed to be some people from the centre here, and there was one guy from the centre who helped out. Now I know the fire exit is that way. I think that somebody might want to check the door, but there is a fire exit that way. And there are toilets outside in the vestibule there. So I think that's oh, and there is a door behind. Thank you. Very observant. Okay, so all on Luke. Well done, Luke.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. It's fantastic to see so many people here. Joe Milbank, who's the third councillor who represents this ward, couldn't be here tonight. So I'm Luke Sorber, this is Paul Bell. We're not here as ambassadors for the Sustainable Streets programme. We're here as your representatives. You elected us into these positions. We have a role within the council and have a role within the community, and you take both of those equally seriously. We have been chasing up the answers to those questions. Paul and I have received emails today with some of the details that you were hoping would be available here. I can read some of them out.
Sorry, could you speak up?
Oh yeah, so so Paul and I did receive today.
If you stand, because it'll help you get your voice.
No, okay. So Paul and I did receive some written answers today. Paul passed on the questions that we were copied into. We do have two officers in the Sustainable Streets programme who've contributed answers. I've got them on my phone in front of me. It's very, very unfortunate we don't have officers here tonight. Because as I was saying in my introduction, we're not here as kind of advocates or ambassadors for the programme. We know a lot about the programme because we stay involved in everything that will affect our ward. I can give you a bit of the background to it, and then I can tell you what I think our position is, and then Paul can join in. The Sustainable Streets programme is something that's been rolled out across the whole of Lewisham. So it was designed centrally within the Highways Department, and at the kind of head of that department in terms of elected representatives is our Deputy Mayor, Councillor Louise Croxley, and she's very sort of passionate about the benefits of this programme. So that's where it comes from. In the background material, when we were asked why is it coming now and Lewisham, we were informed that we are a bit of an outlier in terms of coverage of roads with controlled parking zones. We have very few compared to other boroughs. I actually read somewhere that we had the lowest proportion, and I certainly noticed as a private driver going into Lambeth and Southwark, there's a lot more there. Then the individual areas that have been put together by the highways professionals, and that's why they straddle ward boundaries. So actually, the consultation that's called Brockley actually has some Telegraph Hill and some of Brockley within it. But we are particularly here because we are concerned about the roads that are in this ward. Now, what that concern is expressed as is, and I think I speak for all three of us, we want public consultations to be genuine public consultations. I'm in the Labour Party, I'm a socialist, but before either of those things, I'm a Democrat. And this is democracy. This is participatory democracy. And I wouldn't be involved in politics if it wasn't democratic politics. So the fundamental position that we have is that as many people who are affected take part, use whatever methods there are to express their view candidly, robustly, courteously, and don't feel intimidated when it comes to expressing your opinion in writing, or orally tonight. That's what we want, maximum engagement. I have my personal views as a resident, as a driver, and as someone who receives visits regarding CPZs, but that isn't really relevant to our role here tonight. We see ourselves as facilitating the community in making sure this public consultation is a genuine consultation, that the results of it reflect genuine local feeling and not just one group or just one corner or just one age group or just one set of circumstances, but everyone who will be affected, and we have a guarantee that the results of the consultation will genuinely guide the ultimate decision, which in our form of governance isn't made by myself, it's made at ward level, it's made by the Mayor and Cabinet. And that's very, very important. We don't want a token consultation and some kind of predetermined outcome. We've been genuinely guaranteed that is not going to be the case. It will be genuine. And that's why we want to see as many people as possible. So I'll give you a bit of the background. When it comes to the details, you'll have seen in the literature that the controlled parking zones, which would require residents to pay annual permits to be able to park near their homes, comes linked together with a set of proposals that are outlined here, which is what's called a sort of greening of the streets. So it comes with pulling pavement parking off where it's become a blight. It comes with more street trees, cycle storage hubs, electric vehicle charging points, more safer crossing points, and so on. And what we've been told is that the money that's collected, because it's quite a sizable amount of money, not just to pay, like us, we are residents in the ward, all three of us, like yourselves, but it's quite a lot of money to receive. And the money will be spent, has to be spent on highways and traffic reform and road improvement, so it can't be siphoned off to plug a hole elsewhere in the council services which are financially stretched. And of course, it will pay for this project. So I hope that's a fair assessment of the kind of facts that brought us here together. When it comes to what people feel about it, I respect all opinions, and I think the main thing that guides someone's opinion is their particularly unique set of circumstances. And you may actually live on the same street as someone and have quite different circumstances, and therefore not agree on a CPZ. And you can certainly live a street apart and feel very differently about what the effect of the CPZ might have. It could be financial, it could be lifestyle, it could be geographic, which is why I think that we both are quite happy to hear people who are sort of strongly in favour, strongly against, someone who would like to see a different version of it or no version at all. So I think that's enough of an intro. We did go on a bit from the council, so I don't want to do that tonight. Is that enough?
Did you give the answers to any of those questions?
Right. Let's have a look. Would you like to, because I'm going to, sorry, stand up again. I'm going to have to look up the answers I got them this afternoon. Okay. Do you have them written out? Printed out?
Some of that green in the area, and you've got two parks over there, there's trees down every street. Round the back of my house, it's like a rainforest on railway embankments. So what's all that green in the area? Well, we're going to stick a few more trees in. That's
Can you answer the question?
and why?
Yes, because everybody's got a question here, everybody's got a comment. Thanks very much.
So, good evening, everyone.
Finished.
In terms of the questions that David posed, as Luke said, we received answers this afternoon.
Can you speak up? Somebody here.
I should try. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, so apologies if I'll try to do as loud as
Sorry,
possible.
can you just, this is so packed, there's 40 people outside who can't even get in. So can we somehow...
I didn't realise that, we can't see.
We can,
If anybody else can come in, if people can move through, that would be very helpful.
Can some of us stand up there?
There's more space round the back here, if people could actually move round. Anybody who front of the stage here, or up on the stage. There's not a lot of room. There's a little bit of room back there on this side of the stage.
I film I'm gonna put it online for everyone after you to share it.
There's a seat here.
Graham, do you want to see?
There's a seat right in front.
Anybody want to see?
Yeah, this lady.
Okay, hopefully everybody's in. Okay, cool. But you will have to speak up. And everybody will have to be very quiet so we can hear.
So the first thing to say before I get into the answers of some of the questions, they haven't provided all the detail necessary, but we will go back to them to make sure they do, is that please complete the survey by the 19th of January. So it's really important all of this is recorded. So they're assessing the information, they have all that information. If it's not recorded, it won't be considered. So if anyone's got any problems online filling out the survey, then contact one of the ward councillors and we will take your feedback and put it in the system itself or feed that back to officers. So I've got one hand there, I've got one hand there before we move on.
Where do you find this, sir?
So it's been on your, did you get this leaflet here? It's got the link.
No, I try to access as well I couldn't. So it's not fair then.
So we will make sure that the links are circulated to the Telegraph or Facebook group. And as I said, anything else, if anyone has got issues over accessing internet links, please let one of your ward councillors know. This lady.
Yes, when I looked at that this afternoon, you can't actually make comments under the Peeps Estate area. That's closed for comments. You can't access anything. So what I did, and then I discovered afterwards that was probably okay, but I'm asking, is I put my comments into the Brockley one.
So do you live in this area or in Kingston?
I live on Peeps Estate. I live, well, where is it? I live
Oh,
in
Peeps Road.
I live on Peeps Road.
Oh,
I live
Peeps
on
Road,
Peeps
okay.
Road. And I put Peeps Road as my address into the, because you have to put your address if you're going to make a comment. So wherever the comments go, it will be obvious where I live.
Okay.
But it means if you look on that website, on that link, and think actually the Telegraph Hill one is closed, which it is, you need to comment somewhere else.
So there's a separate link for the responses that should be in this leaflet, but we'll make sure it gets circulated as widely as possible. Oh, that one is
Hang on one. Paul, can you hang on 1 second? Luke says that the consultation isn't closed. And as I understand from here, it doesn't close until the 19th of January.
So the roads within Telegraph Hill that are affected by the proposals and are the subject of the consultation come under the heading Brockley. I'm sorry about that. We didn't want it to be Brockley, but they are being collected together with some roads in Brockley because of the effect of Brockley Station and Community Park. So where you're looking for is where it says Brockley. And then you'll see, I think, 6 or 7 sites, and they're all maps. And if you live on one of the roads on one of those maps, then you are part of the consultation zone, and hopefully you'll be able to comment online, or you can email sustainablestreets@lewisham.gov.uk from anywhere in the world, and they'll get your email.
and copy us in as well to make sure that we have a record of it so we can take it forward. Yeah, I want to get through these questions, but I'll come to you just for a quick question.
Does that mean that comments from people who don't live in the areas in those roads can just be ignored?
They'll be ignored.
So there's no point, let's be clear, if you don't live in one of the roads that are part of this now, then your view is irrelevant. Don't want to live in
Except businesses. Businesses' views are taken into account. Did you have a question?
Yes, I did. If the overwhelming response from people is that they're against it, will it go ahead anyway?
So if because it's going to be done.
Okay.
I know they will because I stood on there. So this is the answer to that question. So it will be done on a street by street basis. So if the majority of views on the street are against it, it won't be done. However, the problem is that if your next door street to you wants it and another street doesn't, it means that street will get it, and that will push traffic problems or parking problems onto the other streets. So that is why it's really important that people fill out that.
So it has to be a holistic thing. This whole area is congested before this is an idea, because we've got all this area as traffic movement from central London coming through Drakefield and Westerroad and Shuttleworth. So we cannot possibly cope with this idea.
Thanks very much for your contribution, but can I just leave it for the moment for what the council has got to say, and also keep it very much to the local area discussions and about the parking locally and about the improvements to the streets locally. But thanks very much. But if we can just keep it at that, because this could go in all sorts of directions, and we need to keep it focused.
Okay, so let me go through the questions. Just to note that sustainable streets is more than just CPZs. So the CPZs is the one that creates the most controversial discussion. So we talk about the health and well-being of communities, traffic, etc. In the questioning. But let's just go through these answers that David asked officers, and we got information on today. So one of David's questions is, what is the breakdown of the parking income figure in the draft 2023-24 account fees, fines and penalties? So the team did not have that at the moment, but they are it's currently working on the annual report, but there's a link I will circulate to you, David, for distribution, which has the previous year's reports on that parking income, so you'll be able to see from other areas that have got CPZs where that income comes from. And there is no doubt CPZs also generate income. It does not go to the private car parking contractor. It goes to the council if there's an income, but it has to be reinvested in the sustainable streets, which includes trees, cycle hangers, and traffic calming measures. So it's not a money-making scheme for the council. The next question.
Okay, seriously. Okay. 340 every day.
Don't we pay enough in council
just
tax?
listen to what is said. I don't think you can just say, no, that, you know, if somebody says this is it, nothing's going to change.
It's been through it all the time.
Can we just keep that, because those questions are very emotive and very difficult. If somebody, if that's what the council says, I think we have to just say, take what they say as being what they think. If you find out evidence that's different, then great, we can actually take it on.
Sorry, mate.
That's okay. Thanks.
I can understand people's scepticism about that, but the funding is reimbursed to go to sustainable streets. So it will fund things that may not be there otherwise. That's part of the system. Let me just turn through.
Right, can I just say, after the councillors have spoken, I will give about 15 minutes for questions on what they've talked about. Then I've got other people who've actually asked to speak, and I'll let them speak because they came in quite early on to ask to speak, and they've got things that they've been involved in the campaigns and stuff like that. And then we can open it up, if that's all right. Yeah, I mean, there's 1,000 questions in this room.
Okay, so the next question is, what exactly is meant by improved visibility at crossing points in purple on the plans? So the answer is not necessarily a good one, so we're going to go back to them on this. The answer we received is we are continuing to explore opportunities to improve crossing points in the area. I must point out that Drakefell Road and Gillacbury Road are separate and sustainable streets, but today we've received an email from a council officer that's created bits of confusion, so we're going to go back and look at that. But they're going to use road safety audits, pedestrian data and speed survey data to consider options available, but also the funding for sustainable streets predominantly comes from TfL, comes from the GLA, so that funding pays for the road and highway improvements. Next question.
Sorry to interrupt you, but and I'd say that increased visibility at crossing points, although they have, absolutely right, they haven't answered it, it's usually double yellow lines. So you don't have cars packed around where pedestrians, sometimes children, are being encouraged to walk across, and because of those cars, you can't see where the traffic is coming.
On Hitto and Buzzard, they've already done
So can we wait until the end? Thank you very much.
So the next question is, who drafted the consultation and what relation, if any, do they have to the Marston Holdings Group? So the Sustainable Streets team drafted all the consultations and conversations that happen, and the materials, nothing to do with the Marston Holdings Group. The next question is the one that was asked earlier. What reassurance is there that CPZ implementation has not led and will not lead to an increased number of conversions of front gardens to hard standing parking? This would be bad news in so many aspects. Again, they misinterpreted the question here. So the answer is, on the contrary, the Sustainable Streets initiative aims to enhance the streetscape by reducing footway parking. I think the question more related to concrete and front gardens.
Yes.
And greater driveways.
It does say that.
So they haven't answered that question, so we will go back and get further clarity on that. The next one is, what hard evidence data is there specifically for this area that CPZs will reduce the number of car journeys and encourage more people to walk, cycle and use public transport? The answer is, whilst there is no such data specific to the Sustainable Streets Programme in isolation, the programme is part of a wider strategic investment in transport initiatives to reduce road danger, mode shift active travel, which is not driving effectively, motor traffic reduction, air quality, and increased public transport patronage and performance. They haven't answered that question sufficiently well, so we'll go back and provide more details to that question. The next one. Will the safety measures currently being proposed by local groups concerned about safety, especially for busier roads or B roads such as Drakefell, be shelved to the CPZ gets a no vote? So there is no yes or no vote in the consultation. We don't want to lie to you that that's going to be the case. So the filling out the consultation, it will be analysed, as I said before, on a street by street basis. So it won't be a whole area vote. Is the first thing. Why? Now,
That's ridiculous.
Why?
Because that means it's fait accompli.
It's not a fait accompli, because this is why it's really important people fill out the consultation. We have to bear in mind that I was really surprised by the results of the previous consultation, which said that 88% of respondents agreed we need to...
How many responses though?
How many responses in total? 88% of 10,000.
If you just have one person talking at a time, thanks.
So it's really important that everyone fills out as much information as possible on your views, and it will be analysed on a street by street basis, as I said. It's not a fait accompli, but what it is a consultation to introduce sustainable streets across the entire borough. And it's not just about CPZs, it's about healthier streets, it's about improving air quality, it's about funding initiatives such as
traffic in the first place then? Completely. Completely.
So that's not...
What about course of life?
Some questions can happen. 15 minutes of questions to the councillors after this.
So the rest of the answer is we understand from Drakefell and Gelatley members that there is a strong view that measures do not go far enough, and that some build-outs at existing crossing points, along with further greening, would improve the designs considerably. I can confirm we're exploring these options, and if they are financially viable, these will be included in the design statement statutory consultation. Should this proceed, we'd also be looking at the number of EV charging points and cycle hangers in and around Drakefell and Gelatley Road, if this is something that comes through for feedback. If this scheme is progressed along Drakefell and Gelatley Roads, the long-standing issues associated with pavement parking would be resolved, and further where it's possible to implement, the proposed staggered parking can also play a role in calming in the area. Now, there was a bit of an ambiguous response from one officer today saying the improvements to Drakefell and Gelatley Road may not go ahead if all the schemes are rejected, the sustainable street schemes. That's black
Can I just speak? I'm actually representing Malpass Road, and I appreciate that
There's been an incredible body of people that arranged this meeting for Telegraph Hill, obviously representing Malpas Road and our Malpas Road section from that form. I have been involved and speaking on behalf and listening to our residents on Malpas Road since 2017. So I've been through a number of heads of transport, councillors within our own Brockley ward, meetings to talk about, crossing through the boroughs and crossing through the wards since 2017. I'll make this really clear. We have got a social WhatsApp group which is for the street. We've got a social WhatsApp group which is for healthy streets, okay? And we speak with the people in Drakefell and Telegraph Hill all the time. I can tell you, over 2/3 of the people in our street WhatsApp, and there's over 200 of them, did not receive or were aware of the original commonplace that took place now, because not everybody is online. Now, this needs to really be taken into consideration, because I do appreciate that you're saying 1,200, of the 1,200 respondents, this, that and the other, the fact that Brockley train station is highlighted right there at the top. I won't speak on behalf of everybody. I don't think anybody here should speak on behalf of everybody. But I can tell you that the majority of people who live on Malpas Road, which we have a lot of other major health concerns and safety concerns on that road, are not asking for a CPZ. They are asking for a safer road, which the CPZ does not deliver in any way.
Yeah!
Can I finish? Because this is really important, because it all links up. The fact we are not separate wards, and I appreciate that. I believe you're probably Telegraph Hill ward councillors, so I completely appreciate that. But you'll also understand we've been through a lot more councillors. I also understand, we've had different engineers that have come in and out of transport department. We've had different heads of transportation, and I've known them all since 2017. We've had a lot of things taken to the table and ripped up into budgets. We've had a lot of conversations, discussions. We are really, and I'm going to say this to everybody, we've been campaigning for a healthy street on Malpas Road, similarly to Drakefell. We have a lot of congestion, a lot of traffic, we have lots of cars and properties that are damaged because of the way that traffic is run. Let me finish. Lewisham Council, TfL and the Met since 2017 still have not triangulated effort to make those roads safer. The Met Police are responsible for the ANPR and speed cameras. Lewisham Council does not have the budget, like any other council, does not have the authority to put speed cameras in. So if you are concerned about speeding through Lewisham, through Brockley, through our borough, that is not actually down to this board here or the team at Lewisham Transport. The problem is, they are yet to have a meeting. Now, we had a meeting with Paul from Lewisham Transport, the engineer, who's the engineer there, who was going to try and set up a meeting again, probably the 4th time they've tried to set up a meeting, with TfL, with London Transport and with Lewisham, and yet again it hasn't happened. This is just coming at one part of it. I will say this, and I think this is good news particularly for people on Drakefell Road. We have been petitioning for a crossing, like Drakefell has, because of the safety, particularly of older people and children, since 2017. Many of you will be aware of all the accidents that happen in Brockley Road crossing. The hideous traffic that's happening at the moment on the roads as well, like the lights are not working. They've got temporary lights in, because they are building a pedestrian crossing. It's going to be a pedestrian crossing with a cycle route across that hideous junction that we are all very aware of. Not because of a CPZ, not because of any budget coming from the CPZ, because it was needed, and Lewisham actually needs to deliver that to its community, to its residents, because they work for us.
Can
we
I?
We do not work for them.
Yes!
I've got a positive thing to say.
This is a really positive thing to say, but the positive thing that I want to say is, those things are not reliant on a CPZ. They've made it very clear, and I keep saying to the people in our group and in the schools, in like the My Garden school community, is that if you have a CPZ, and I'll make this really clear, pays for itself. And there are other amazing infrastructures within that, whether it's trees or bicycles, etc. It pays for itself. If you feel that by supporting this, and this is my opinion, I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody on my road, this is my opinion. If you feel that by getting a CPZ on your street is going to help improve the safety of your street, it is not. What is going to do that is for the council and for Lewisham Transport to open their eyes and listen to the residents on the street and make changes, which the budget is there, and we approved it on Malpas Road. And we've been told, no, there is no budget for years, but it is happening. It took place. There wasn't a petition, there wasn't a survey, there wasn't any of that. It's happening because they know it needs to happen.
Please,
That is what I want to
tonight. Can I suggest there are people, I know, I mean I don't know who it is, but I know there are people on Drakeville and Gallatley who have a group.
We are all in
and are you all in contact?
Yeah.
Right, that's working. That's working, and that you need to work together,
and
obviously.
I feel like they haven't had the successes, but it is a case of, because I'm sure you're the same, because I'm on all the Facebook groups as well, and this is the thing, when you talk about, we'll post it on the Facebook group, it's not enough. If you've spoken to 1,200 people and you've got a number of respondents, and over 30 people on Malpass Road or the B218 didn't even know about that, I didn't get one of those through the door. My neighbour Tracy rang me in an absolute panic. Have you seen this? I didn't get one. I had to take a photograph of hers. Okay, I had to get a photograph. I did not get one, and I've been
I've made a note that other people in here didn't get them either.
contacting the council, okay, and I did not get one. So if you're going to do a survey, you're saying, oh, we need to
sorry, thank you. Hang on. You've had an awful long time. Thank you very much, and that was very valuable what you put in. However, there are a lot of questions in this room. Nobody's going to get it. Lots of people who aren't going to get answers to their questions. So
it's important that people understand that.
Right. Paul, can you continue?
So I didn't hear the last.
I said, I do feel like if you're going to ask.
Paul, the floor is yours. Thank you.
He said sorry.
Can you sit down? Thanks.
Let's just try to be nice to each other. I don't know anything about Malpass Road because I'm not ward councillor in Malpass Road, so I don't know the next question is, what would be the ruling for blue badge drivers? At present, there is only one blue badge space in the whole zone. A number of roads in the zone have 100% permit parking. Does this mean blue badge holders will not be able to park? They have spectacularly failed to answer that question.
Sorry, where is that bay? You said there was only one. Where is
it's
it?
in Drakeville. It's actually on here.
Oh, jeez, I'll tell you what.
It's very hard to see because it's the one in blue and it's very much the same as the other colours. But there is one in there, I think it's great.
It's very difficult to enforce them without CPZs. But they haven't answered the question, so we will go back to them and ask that question.
So what happened to the one in Edinburgh Road then? Doesn't that one count?
There's not one written in.
No, exactly, because the council put it in there because I requested it over 2 years ago and they denied it because they would rather put a stupid bike lane, which they say is not dangerous going the wrong way up a one-way street, right? Now I applied for that lady had her say, people need to hear this as well. I applied for my blue badge over 2 years ago, even before that building was built, alright? I went through everything. I even went down to the council, I had medical face to face, I passed absolutely everything, it was the proof.
I'm trying to.
It's dangerous because of a bike lane. But all the other cars that are passed down there,
there are a lot of different questions in here, and a lot of points. Thank you for your points. Thank you.
So the next question is, how many objections to commuter parking have been logged from residents in So how many objections to commuter parking have been logged from residents within the zone in 2024? They haven't answered that question either.
They haven't bothered to turn up, they haven't answered any questions. It's a waste of our time.
I completely hear you, but we are your elected representatives, so we will take this back, because we only got the answers this afternoon.
Tell them that
They need to, it's really important to build trust that people answer questions honestly and correctly and fulfill their duties to answer every detail that's in there where they can, as long as it's not personal information. So, Dave, I think that's all of your questions.
Right. They are not my questions, by the way. They were questions that came in to me. I gave there was 4 windows to put questions in. The first 8 came in, I put down. They were all quite relevant, I thought. Now, if anybody's got any very specific questions to ask the councillors. Now, the councillors are not the people who are the officers putting it together. They can actually directly ask questions of those officers, and they can give us responses, and they can support what we say. So anything that you can think of is exactly that is directly relevant to ask these questions. I have one hand over there, please.
Sorry, I'm going to try to speak. Sorry, I'm going to try to speak as loud as I can. I have two.
There's a microphone. If you'd like to come up here, you can talk them through the
It will
microphone.
be very difficult. I'll try to shout. I'll try to...
What? Sorry. Yeah, CPZ controlled parking zone, and that is what is CPZ.
Which means what exactly? Control.
Parking tax.
It means that you'll have residents parking permits, and visitors will have to have permits.
Come round.
Okay.
Do your best, otherwise you won't get heard. Just try not. Go for it.
You're all right. All of a sudden, you've got to pay the park outside your own house.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of people's questions.
Hello, hi.
What's going to change?
Hang on.
I've got two questions, sorry, very quickly. I understand
First
that...
one, put the facts.
Oh, that's all right. I understand that there's going to be income coming from this, that's given. I want to know how much is it going to cost to actually implement all of the zones if it goes ahead, and where does that money come from? Is it from the council, or is it from a centralised point? And could that money be spent elsewhere? And secondly, my other question is, what can people here do to actually get a proper consultation? Because this is not a proper consultation, where the council is...
I can take that, Paul. So we've been advised by officers, we've been advised by officers, the Sustainable Cities programme is self-funded. In other words, the money generated from people paying for the permits in the controlled parking zone.
That's not my question.
You wanted that? Will then pay for the rollout of the CPZ and the other bits and pieces.
Yeah,
Is that not the question?
But that money comes later. Initially, somebody's going to lay out that money to pay for all of that to be done. How much does that cost?
Oh, well, the initial, before the money starts coming in? Yeah. Well, like all organisations borrow against expected revenue. I don't know. I don't know. And what was the second question? Sorry, I got lost in that one now. Right. Now, I think so. Consultation is not a referendum, and that's what Paul was trying to identify earlier. So it's not literally you count the for and the count against, and then the whole thing is implemented or the whole thing is scrapped. People's views, the number of them, and the kind of strength of them are taken into account. They
not
are.
My question. What do we have to do to get a proper consultation?
Okay, this is the only consultation that will take place before the Sustainable Cities. If I said otherwise, I would be lying. Okay, this is the consultation, so take part in it because it's the only one that there's going to be. Okay, if you think. So, and what? No, not at all. So in Crofton Park, some of the consultation was against the CPZ, and it wasn't implemented in some of the areas where officers wanted it. So that's an example of listening to the public and saying they don't want it here, they want it there, but they don't want it here. We won't put it where they don't want it.
They can't listen to us if they ain't here.
Well. The route through which public opinion is measured, unfortunately, it isn't big town hall meetings anymore that I actually prefer. I don't like going online. It's emails and online. That's how it's organised. I'm sorry, I don't like that form but that's how it's done. You write to officers, you write to the deputy mayor, use the online, use the emails, and that will all mount up. It goes in the inboxes, it gets looked at. Also, we will make sure, as your elected representatives, we don't have skin in the game. Okay? We are not advocates for or protesters against. We're here to represent you. We will make sure, I promise you this, the three of us will make sure that anything that is implemented is definitely guided by what the public say they want. We will not allow, rough roading over anyone.
Could I have Luke? Could I have a... so, what you said earlier, and what it says around, what I've heard is that it's a street-by-street decision. If the majority in the street, the great majority in the street say no, then it doesn't happen. Okay? So, hang on, so consequently, people need to actually work street by street. People here need to organise in their own street and make sure they get all of the information out and all of the consultations done. So all of the feedback goes in from the street, and you actually monitor that. So you actually know what people have said about it across your street. That way, you have very definite, this is what our street thought. Okay?
To do
so
on
that is
community
something
for
that really
street,
needs
WhatsApp
to happen.
and by house by house.
Absolutely echo that. That is absolutely what we want. We want the officers' read to actually reflect the totality of people's opinions. Not just joking, not only those that heard about it, those that bothered, those that were told, but everyone.
Sorry, isn't there a minimum level of response? So if you get like 20% of the people responding, how can they take that as proof that there's support? If it's so low, surely there has to be a level.
There's three questions in it.
Right, okay. Lady there, who started to ask the question. Okay, well, lots of people with their hands up.
So, Kitcher Road resident, you talked earlier about it's only people who live on the street who can have a say in this, but business people could. Okay. Now, can you tell me what's going to happen to the House of Bread? How are they going to worship? Where are they going to park? Where are they going to park for their funerals and their weddings? Are their views going to be taken into consideration? Because they're a very big part of our street community.
There's an answer. We need an answer first.
So the proposed CPZ will only take effect 9 AM to 5 PM Monday to Friday. So they will not be able to park unless they're residents inside that time.
Hang on, you can't hear yourself, even though it's coming through a microphone.
So the times that the CPZ operates are clear. It's between Monday to Friday, so to deal with commuter parking, etc. So House of Bread has no right to parking in this borough. They have no right to parking. The issue is that this is for residents and local businesses. Now, I wouldn't have thought House of Bread was a local business. It's a place of worship. But businesses have been consulted, but ultimately it's residents' views through that consultation that will determine the outcome of what happens street by street.
Could I hear from the person in the hat, the red hat?
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and then you're saying any money raised from this scheme is ring-fenced for what you do on the street. Is that correct? No.
Sustainable streets. Sustainable streets.
Right, okay. Is that money ring-fenced for the people on the streets who are paying, or any street? So is the money, let's just say, everybody in this room pays whatever it is that money going to be spent on the streets where the people have paid, or just any street in the region?
So it will not fund street by street. It will not fund street by street, so it's the whole borough. So let me just clarify the point. So the question earlier money's coming from. It's coming from the Mayor of London, the GLA, to fund the improvements.
No, it's coming from us.
No, hold on, I haven't finished. Let me finish. But any money that comes to the Mayor of London or comes to the Lewisham Council is our money, including Luke and I, because we live in Lewisham, we live in Telegraph Hill Ward. It's our money too. So that money funds schemes. It pays through your council tax, through government grants, it pays for refuse collection, etc. But your specific question is, it will not be ring-fenced ward by ward. It will be ring-fenced by sustainable transport initiatives on the streets that have sustainable.
The team who didn't bother to turn up.
So it's the same. We have to think on a more socialised scale. So
What?
Crofton Park, for example. Crofton Park pay into it. Telegraph Hill would pay into it if you accepted it. It's all part of the shared amounts of money we put into initiative for sustainable.
Can I ask, if for example the CPZs go ahead with some streets and not others, do we get a second consultation? Because of course the streets that perhaps don't go ahead with it will then be very much affected by other, understandably, other people needing to park, and therefore we're going to get very, very
Yes. What's happened with Crofton Park is, I think, they're going to return to the people of Crofton Park that said no because of what you've identified, which is if some streets are only residents parking, that will displace kind of community parking, which could then jam up other streets, and the residents there will say, this isn't really, what I signed up for, and therefore the officers will go back to them and ask them to set
Can I say something off the back of that? What's really unfair, because we are a community, it's very divisive. So if there are some people who are going to be deeply affected, even on the hill, we don't get an opportunity to say anything at all, and that's half the hill. So it's a very complicated situation for everybody.
Do you mean those streets that aren't on those maps?
Yes.
Okay. So I live in one of those streets. I live in one of those streets. I live in Omni, so I know exactly what you mean. The reason I asked about this, the reason we're not in the current zone that's being consulted on, is because what they're going to put together is they've identified another zone which is, they think, streets affected by New Cross Gate Station. So that will be some of our streets, and some streets in New Cross Ward. So there will be another consultation that will include us, but we will be then put together with streets elsewhere. That's what officers have told.
You come there every single night, park their car along the whole street. And we as the resident cannot get any parking until 2 o'clock, wait for a parking space. As we're there, wait for a parking space, and one bus driver leaves, another one comes in, that's wait for 24 hours before we get a parking space.
And we don't get
you understand that?
Because we're not in the street.
They just use the bus. They get free passing.
Free parking from another borough.
We don't have any control over the London transport. So we don't have the right to stop London transport workers parking where anyone else can park on the roads. But I understand that the reason it got so congested is they were having works, which meant the staff car park was temporarily not
No, it was happening before that. I've been there for over 12 years now.
Me too.
The point is, you don't understand.
I do understand, because I drive round and round looking for a spot. I do understand.
No tickets, no tickets, and still come there, waiting up to get parking.
When apparently that area is going to have the opportunity for a CPZ, if you have a CPZ.
Why wait?
I don't know. I'm not the councillor, I don't know anything about that. But if it comes in, that might sort your problem. On the other hand, a lot of people have said the other thing is about how about people have to start work at 4 in the morning when there is no public transport. So those workers who go there, what are they going to do? So there are gains and losses to everybody.
It's not my problem.
I'm going to ask.
I think just one more question now. How I get that, I don't know. I mean, you've been trying to ask a question. Now, is it a question or is it a comment? I want questions, not comments.
It's a bit of a comment.
Right. You've got a question. There is a question. Hang on.
And Luke, Paul, and other Labour councillors, you've been trying to champion a better Lewisham for years. We can have confidence in you, but it is a pity that the officers haven't come. But hopefully this will improve. The question is, if this is about going greener faster, which it is the ambition for it, why is there so little provision for EV charging? And why in that context is Lewisham Council policy still to ban anyone without a driveway having their own EV charger and forcing people to rely only on public EV charging points in these...
Yeah! Very good.
They've identified only 2 potential EV charge points in each of these zones. So if we're talking about the next few years, when everyone in this room is being encouraged, rightly in my view, we have a gas guzzler, I don't drive it, I hate driving. But we have a gas guzzler because sometimes we need it, and we'd love to go EV, but we can't. And we can't because there isn't the provision yet. This is an opportunity to do it. How do we get the officers to actually engage in that?
Right, it's gone.
So, yeah, we've corresponded on this. You were right in identifying Lewisham's particular approach to EV charging points, which is not to emulate some of the other boroughs where they run channels through the pavements and you can have your almost kind of private EV charger. If that is the policy, they are not moving from that policy. I wish there was either the cabinet member or the officers here to better explain the rationale. But that's the policy that's being handed down to us, and I'm afraid that they feel very strongly that that is the one that fits their priorities for this borough best. Now, those priorities compete, and that can be very difficult. The gentleman, it's gone now, I really sympathise with, he's waiting so long for a disabled parking bay and a cycle lane turns up. Now, trying to juggle those competing needs is very difficult. Personally, I would always, this is just me, not the council, I would always put the parking bay before the cycle lane. I've said that in public before, I've been roasted in public for saying it. That's me, but the council, it is difficult for the council to try and balance all these different needs. Before I hand over, I did want to add a couple of details just to those who are particularly interested in Drakeford and Gallatley Road, because it's so complicated and it's made more complicated rather than less, as we've got 3 different answers from 3 different officers. So, what's the reason we as ward councils have been motivated to act on Drakeford and Gallatley Road has never been about creating controlled parking zones. It's always been about one single focus, which is to calm traffic, reduce speeds, reduce heavy vehicles, clear the pavements, make it safer to cross, make it easier to walk the pavements, and that we will continue to do. Absolutely, that has been our laser-like focus. It's always been the #1 priority. What we are hearing is, if the CPZ goes through, then there will definitely be funding for the staggered parking element of improvements that would take all the cars off the pavement. And by having staggered parking, not only do you free the pavements, it quietens the traffic, because the road at certain points, it gets a little bit narrower and then it gets a bit wider and you slow down a bit. Now, we have not been told that is off the table completely, we'll never see that if the CPZ is rejected, but we have been led to believe it will be harder to achieve, and this is why we need to go back, because we still want to see that.
So why are we
now, so I'm quite finished.
Why are we being blackmailed?
There are 2 more elements, sir.
We didn't get nothing else.
Right,
why are we being blackmailed? And this comes from the
that's a leading question, but I understand why you feel that way. I do, but I can't answer it because it's a rhetorical question. But there are the other 2 improvements that have been considered: build-outs and a controlled crossing, which is zebra crossing. They are very much detached from any of the thinking and funding around sustainable streets. So we feel confident that we can push for those two things. But I'm now feeling less confident about the staggered parking, and I have to be honest with you about that. That doesn't mean, being less confident doesn't mean we're going to leave it. It tends to be the opposite. When we lose confidence, we work harder. So that, I hope, adds a bit of clarity to Drakefell and Galatty.
I live on Drakefell.
Oh, and we do have a success on Lausanne Road. We were able with Southwark and the GLA to get a zebra crossing across that road.
Can I just have the two very quick questions? We've got two questions, not comments.
In terms of, if for argument's sake, Galatty votes yes for CPZ, the income from that CPZ for Galatty Road is not guaranteed to be spent on Galatty Road. I just want to be clear on that very quickly.
So,
yes or no?
No, it's not ring fenced in the kind of micro district way. But what we were able to achieve as ward councillors, because the officers didn't see this. You're right. Yeah. So originally, the consultation only included Drakefell and not Galatty. And what we said, look, they may have different names, but it's the same B road as the Bay B2412, if I got that right. It's the same B road. Yeah, I can always get the twos and fours mixed up. It's the same road, it just changes name. And they said, oh, you're right. And they brought it into the consultation. So we would not sit back and see some kind of asymmetric, here's some improvements to half the road, the half or the Galatty half, but none for the other half. Because from our point of view, that doesn't make sense. It has to be seen, as the lady said earlier, holistically as one
So the way
road.
budgets work in Canada, you can't guarantee that money is just raised.
We can't guarantee that. The reason we can't guarantee how money is spent is that we have no authority over spending as ward councillors. We just don't. We don't get given, here's a ward budget, what do you want to spend on? Spend it on Luke, Ward and Joe. I'm afraid it's not.
Hang on. Right, we've now only got 20 minutes left. Right? Well, okay, but that's the last question for them, because I've got 4 people who actually wrote in and asked to give questions, and they have been involved in either the questions that are on here or the petitions, and so I need to give them a little bit of space. So
I just want to say, I'm actively I'm against CPZs. If anyone wants to put their name, contact details on here, please sign this. I'm going to pass these around. Please sign it. And if you're against the CPZ, please put your details on it, and I'll contact you. Thank you.
Right.
What's the progress of some of these other areas?
We can't hear you, mate.
Very.
And the question is, will it be Conway that we carry out the survey, and will they be carrying out the work?
We can't hear you.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Everybody shut be quiet. Everybody.
I have to go.
I'm very interested in actually who is compiling the surveys. And